The pressure seems to be ratcheted up on Nate.
And he's not responding well.
Welcome to Cliff Alert. Today we're going to be talking about Lifetime Network's reality-based TV series, Married at First Sight, season number 15, episode number 16.
But before we get into it, please like, share, and subscribe. Please hit that notification so you know when we upload new videos, and we appreciate your support of this channel.
Stacia, his wife, began the episode by basically saying, that she doesn't know if they can even talk now because it seems like everything that she says to him triggers him in some way.
Right, so he's in that sensitive spot, and clearly when he's upset and he feels some sort of emotion and he gets intolerant of her and he lashes out, he can no longer hear what she's saying.
Right, so I think it was really good that the pastor and Dr. Pepper asked the couples this week to reach out to one last time to people who are closest to them for advice heading into decision day.
Right.
And both of them did that. Stacia
Right.
reached out to, I guess, her friend Jewel.
Yeah.
And Nate reached out to his father Joe and his friend Aaliyah.
Right. And Jewel told Stacia that she was concerned about Nate. She thinks that his inexperience, and she's really talking about his maturity is not there, and she would hate Stacia to go down the road with him if he's not the one.
She was wondering openly to him.
Yes.
There's no question about it.
They were having a hard conversation.
Joe also basically got a chance to speak with his son, Nate, and was trying to ease his fears and insecurities, if you will, about Nate's apprehension, I guess, about what time is going to be like once they start having kids. It's like a what-if scenario that he hasn't been able to resolve in his head about having fun once kids come.
But the point is, at this stage in their relationship, they are gonna have the what ifs. The what ifs can't overpower what they're trying to do, and clearly it's overpowering. Nate, he seemed to be immersed in fear.
Yes.
And that's all I'm getting from him at this point.
Yeah, and it just seemed like Joe was basically saying, "Hey, look, man, if you are truly in this and all, things will work out. Relax,
Right.
relax.
Right.
Understand that this is just all part of the process because of where you guys are now. It's probably a little uncomfortable right now, but not every question is going to be answered up front before you can move forward."
Exactly. And he should be kinder to himself simply because he has never been in that spot before. None of them have.
Mm-hmm.
But particularly for him, he has never been in love before.
So
he has no idea how to maneuver that, since he's sort of like learning on the spot.
Yep, OJT.
Right. He's going to end up driving Stacia the other way, because one thing you know about her, she's looking for a grown-ass man.
He needs a way to relieve that pressure.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see how that plays out. But clearly, he doesn't know how to deal with that right now.
No, he doesn't.
It was good, really, for him and Stacia to go with hook up with the group and go a little go-kart racing, ride.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Good for them to connect with all the other couples and all that.
Right, and then later on they circled up and they were talking about what's going on in their relationship.
Right.
And Stacia said that she was cold. She said maybe she needs that vibrator panties to keep her warm. And that was uncalled for. I know Justin is not throwing it down for her the way she wants it, but she can go to the store and get her one. She doesn't have to be a hater.
And doesn't it seem like she should be paying attention to her own
Well,
issues right about now?
you know that sister.
Nate was basically saying that, hey, look, we've got issues, and they revolve around communication. We need to do a better job with communicating. And that's where we really need to focus our efforts.
Right. So they have their final date and they're at a vineyard. They're looking over the vineyard, so it's nice, it's romantic. And Nate starts off with asking Stacia two questions. He had a number 4 of her biggest flaws, and he asked
And he
her
also wanted to know if she is all in.
all in.
Come on, man.
And you know, Stacia said, "What? What? We've been through this stuff before. Why are you asking me these questions?"
Yeah, I've already answered them.
Right. And then she said, when she got her turn, she said, like, you know, I feel like you're going through the motions.
Yeah, and
I
she wonders if she will ever get to the point where he loves her because she doesn't want to live in a loveless relationship.
And I think
and that,
understand now why she's saying that,
Yeah.
because he was in a relationship
Mhm.
that lived with a woman for a while, and there was no love involved.
Right, right.
So she's mindful of that. So she asked him, like, okay, where's your love radar right now?
Right. Will you
Where
ever
you
get to the
at?
point where you
And
love
he
me?
still said, I'm falling for you.
Right.
Now, how long is he going to say I'm falling rather than, you know, I love you?
And at that point, I began to feel like he was starting to get a little defensive, and he had been triggered at that point.
But he was playing games. He was playing games.
Wow.
He was playing. A man will know if you love this woman or not, regardless of her faults or anything like that.
Yeah.
He will know.
Yeah, yeah.
So he does not want to tell her how he feels in an honest way. Instead, he reverts to being sort of like argumentative and
Yeah, he got
defensive.
defensive. He got defensive. There's no
I
question
didn't
about
like
that, at least from my vantage point.
I didn't like his tone towards her.
Yeah.
He started like cussing. Do you think this tattoo was just for naught?
Right, and he says he felt like he was not going to be able to
Satisfy her.
Right, and he was offended that you know Stacia just expressed her feelings, and I'm
Right.
like,
All she
what?
wanted was to hear where he was.
Right, and
Because-
she didn't do it in any threatening way or manner, and the bottom line was that I think he overreacted.
Because he wasn't
he was
listening.
triggered, and he wasn't paying attention to what she was saying, nor the spirit in what she was saying.
Right. So he got up and walked away. You know,
Right.
that
He wasn't
drama.
listening. Right.
And later you see them disrespectful, in my mind, the way he was talking to her.
Yeah. He also said,
And at one point she said, "Oh, you're stuck. Well, just leave." And I co-signed that.
but let me ask you this, wifey. Do you think that Nate loves Stacia?
Yes.
Okay. Do you think that it's showing up in a way that Stacia can process?
No.
Okay, and why is that?
Because Nate is not honest with himself. Because Nate has that fear about being abandoned like his mother.
Yeah.
And he has all these ghosts floating around in his head.
Yeah.
He found out some stuff about Stacia, that she may not have been faithful in one relationship that she has.
Right.
And that's Nate's issue. The reason why he has not been told anyone or have been in love is because he thinks that being in love makes him vulnerable.
And he's afraid of that.
And he's afraid of that. He's going to end up loving a woman who walks away from him.
That fear component, boy.
So that's what I think it is.
I think you are right on point with it. To me, the word that you said that was the most critical thing as part of your comments was fear.
Yes.
Fear, boy.
Yes.
Fear can have you doing some foolish things.
Because by the time they get back into another space, he's saying, "Oh, you know what? I don't love you." What is that?
Right. He's done more than enough to kind of prove where that he's all into this. He's committed to this, and he doesn't love her now because he's hurt that, and he thinks that Stacia is just going through the motions. Come on, man. You actually think that he's been or she's been going through the motions?
That's wordplay, pushing that back on her.
Yeah.
And the reason why Stacia is concerned about him feels like he's not all in is his resistance to feeling what love feels like. That's what she's talking about.
Because he's unfamiliar with it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and her voice is low, and she's calm, and he's turned all the way up.
Yeah,
and he's mean mugging her.
right. He's feeling like
And I'm like,
like they're going in circles, and then
this
he has to
dude,
prove himself, and he doesn't care anymore. He's not listening at all. So
it's not sexy at all.
later on, yeah, later on they have a chance to kind of like talk when they're in bed. I guess right before they're ready to turn in for the evening. And Stacia asked Nate, what he enjoys about being married to her so far.
Mhm. And he explained all these random things. None of it sounded sincere to me. Sounded like he was making stuff up, and this is the part of the problem why she still feels he's not all the way in, because he's not truthful with how he feels. And I just think she felt that based on his responses.
Yeah, and I would go along with that for sure. And I got to give him credit though. He did apologize for spazzing out on her. He did acknowledge that he was wrong by doing that. But then he kind of like
He flipped back on her.
right. He reversed course immediately after
He
said
said
that.
he can't stay with a woman who triggers him.
Right, and I think it was because Stacia mentioned and or referenced the tools that they had been given by was it Dr. Pepper?
And wait a second, did you see her using the tools?
Yeah,
Because
she was
her voice was low.
low.
She didn't raise that voice at all.
Right,
She looked at him
right.
and she was calm, and she, even though this probably was distressing, she kept that off her face.
And he also mentioned that he can't be married right now. Right now, he chooses happiness over marriage.
Yes.
And that was like
That was like a dagger.
that was unnecessary.
That was
uncalled
a dagger.
for. Yeah,
It was uncalled for. And a woman need to be careful of a man who is vindictive,
yeah.
because he could crush you in the worst possible way, and that's what I saw from Nate
It was
in that
yeah.
that moment.
It was a momentary glimpse, if you will, of what can come out of him.
The next day, of course, they have to be separated. They have to make the decision on their own. And he's dressed, you see him packing, and he's ready to leave. When she closed the door, she was just crushed.
Yeah, she just kind of slid down the wall there, and you could tell she was upset.
Right.
And it didn't look good. Like I said, I agree. I agree with you. I don't know whether it was editing or not, but he needs to be aware of optics.
I just think that right through here, my honest opinion, Nate and Stacia should not move in together. They should just maybe date, because Nate is too inexperienced to deal with a grown ass woman, and he has these childish tendencies he reverts to, and it's off putting, and he is vindictive and cruel with his words. So that's another thing she's got to be mindful of.
Yeah, but isn't it too late because they had already gone, shopping for hardware for doors and stuff to the house?
No, but that's her house.
Right.
And he did ask her last week, like, if they have an argument, where does he go?
Right.
I think he needs to keep his apartment,
Okay.
and she needs to have her house, and they have a trial situation going on, because right now Nate is not adult enough to be married.
Yeah, but,
That's what I think.
yeah, but I'm wondering how that kind of plays into this whole, lead up to decision day.
Well, the decision is we're going to continue, but continue separately. After decision day, there's real life consequences.
Yeah, no
So a
question about
show can't dictate how you maneuver after the fact.
Agree.
And we want to thank you for liking, sharing, and subscribing. I expressed that I don't think it's a good time for them to be together. They can be married, but they just need to live separately and still date.
They need to work some stuff out, but you know what? I still think that they're gonna be together.
I just think Stacia needs to be careful.
And Nate needs to get to a point where he understands that, hey, look, it's okay to be vulnerable with your significant other, and that that you're going to have to go there whether you want to or not. If you're going to be
If you're gonna be married, you have
part
to.
of a marital relationship.
You have to, one way or the other.
And that's non-negotiable.
It's either now or
Never.
never.